The smell of roasted chicken and buttery mashed potatoes filled the air as I put the finishing touches on dinner. My husband Marshall smiled at me from across the kitchen. "Something sure smells good in here. The kids are gonna love it," he said. I grinned back, feeling a familiar flutter of excitement in my stomach. Our son Ellis was coming over tonight with his new wife Corinne. It would be her first time visiting us since their wedding 6 months ago. "Do you think she'll like the food?" I asked Marshall nervously. "I got that wine she enjoys, but I wasn't sure about her tastes." "I'm sure she'll love it, Lorraine," Marshall reassured me. "Just relax. This dinner is going to go great." The doorbell rang and my heart leapt. I rushed to answer it, smoothing my apron. Ellis and Corinne stood on the porch, dressed impeccably as usual. "Mom, Dad, it's so good to see you," Ellis exclaimed, sweeping me into a big hug. Corinne air-kissed my cheek. "Thanks for having us over. What a cute little house." I smiled uncertainly. Come in. Dinner's just about ready." We settled around the dining room table, heaping our plates high. Corinne delicately picked at her food, her nose crinkled. Marshall dove into his meal. Lorraine, you've outdone yourself. This chicken is juicy and seasoned perfectly." "Yeah, thanks, Mom. It's great," Ellis added enthusiastically. Corinne gingerly took a bite and set her fork down. It's a little dry for my taste." I blinked in surprise. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I said quickly. "I can bring you some extra gravy or butter if you'd like." "No, it's fine," Corinne sighed. "I'm just used to more refined cooking. I shouldn't have expected you to match my tastes." Marshall and I exchanged a look. The table fell silent. "Sorry, I don't mean to be rude," Corinne added lightly. "It's edible enough." I gritted my teeth. Edible enough? The nerve of this woman. I had slaved away in the kitchen all evening, wanting to make a good impression. Marshall cleared his throat. "So, how's work been, Ellis?" As he launched into a story, I studied Corinne. She looked bored, picking at her nails. How could Ellis have married someone so vain and entitled? After dinner, I quickly cleaned up as Marshall showed them family photos. "Ugh, I'm exhausted," Corinne declared. "Those carbs made me sleepy." "Ellis, be a dear and fetch my sweater from the car?" Ellis jumped up immediately. "Of course, honey." As I washed dishes angrily, I heard Corinne's shrill laugh from the living room. "Oh my God, look at Ellis's hair in this photo. He looks like such a dork." I clenched my fists. I had tried so hard to make her feel welcome, but Corinne clearly had no interest in getting to know us. She saw us as beneath her, somehow. Well, I wasn't going to stand for that. If she wanted to be part of this family, she had better shape up and show us some respect. I would make sure of that. Over the next few weeks, I tried to make peace with Corinne's presence in our family. I knew how much Ellis loved her. Perhaps she was just nervous that first night. We invited them over for dinner again. When they arrived, I noticed how exhausted Ellis looked. His eyes were ringed with dark circles, and he seemed to have lost weight. "Sweetheart, is everything okay? You look really worn out," I asked, concerned. "Oh, I'm fine, Mom," Ellis said, waving it off. "Work has just been crazy lately." I frowned. Ellis was one of the senior engineers at his firm and thrived under pressure. Something else must be going on. Throughout dinner, Corinne dominated the conversation as usual. She went on and on about her tennis lessons, shopping sprees, and lunch dates. "Being a housewife is so dull, don't you think, Lorraine?" she complained. "I need to get out of the house and socialize." Meanwhile, Ellis sat there quietly, staring at his plate. He used to be so outgoing and cheerful. What was happening? As we said our goodbyes, I pulled Ellis into a tight hug. "Remember, if you ever need anything, your dad and I are right here," I said softly. "Thanks, Mom," he whispered back. The next weekend, Marshall and I visited their new house, hoping to help Ellis with some repairs. I gasped when I walked inside. The kitchen gleamed with granite countertops, original artwork adorned the walls. "Wow, you two have certainly settled in nicely," I said. "This must have cost a fortune." Corinne laughed. "Oh, it wasn't cheap, that's for sure, but Ellis knows how important it is for me to have a beautiful home, right, babe?" Ellis merely nodded, looking uncomfortable. Over the next few hours, the truth became painfully clear. Corinne nitpicked everything Ellis did, from the way he loaded the dishwasher to how he mowed the lawn. "Ugh, you missed a spot there. Redo it," she barked. Ellis's shoulders sagged, but he obediently redid his work without complaint. Watching them, my heart broke for my son. It was obvious now. Corinne was selfish and controlling. She was running Ellis ragged, trying to maintain her extravagant lifestyle. As we left, I hugged Ellis tightly again. "Remember what I said? We're always here for you," I whispered. "Thanks, Mom," he murmured back. In the car, Marshall shook his head angrily. "That woman is poisoning our boy's life. He looks so worn down." "I know," I said quietly, "but we can't force him to leave her. We just need to keep reminding Ellis he has a place to turn if he needs it." One way or another, I was determined to rescue my son from Corinne's toxic hold over him. She may have fooled him with her manipulations so far, but I was going to unveil the ugly truth, no matter what it took. Ellis deserved better, and I would make sure he got it. I decided it was time for a heart-to-heart with Corinne. Maybe if I shared my concerns directly, she would realize how her behavior was impacting Ellis. I invited her over for lunch, just the two of us. Right on time, the doorbell rang. Come in," I said warmly. "The quiche just came out of the oven." Over lunch, I started cautiously. "Corinne, I wanted to chat with you about Ellis. Marshall and I have noticed that he seems really exhausted and overwhelmed lately." Corinne waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, he's fine. You know how dramatic Ellis can be sometimes." I pressed on. "It's just, we've observed that you seem to demand a lot from him, the big house, the expensive lifestyle. We're worried it's taking a toll." Corinne's eyes flashed. "Look, I'm sorry if you have a problem with me actually having standards. I'm not going to apologize for wanting the best." "Of course not," I said gently. "It's just, marriage is a partnership. It seems like things are out of balance." "You have no idea what you're talking about," Corinne snapped. "This is between me and Ellis. He knew what he was signing up for when he married me." "I know, but people change. Priorities shift." Corinne glared at me coldly. "I don't tell you how to run your little household, do I? Stay in your lane, Lorraine." I took a deep breath. This wasn't going well. "Please, just consider what I've said. Ellis looks so tired and stressed. I'm worried for his health." Suddenly, Corinne's face crumpled and tears shone in her eyes. "I slave away trying to make a beautiful home for Ellis, and this is the thanks I get?" She buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking with sobs. I sat frozen, stunned by her dramatic reaction. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you," I stammered. Corinne looked up, mascara running down her cheeks. "You have no idea the pressure I'm under," she wailed. "I just want to make my husband happy." Guilt washed over me. Here I had been judging Corinne when she was just doing her best. "You're right, I'm sorry," I said softly, passing her a tissue. "Being newlyweds can be hard. I shouldn't have pried. Please forgive me." "I know you mean well," Corinne dabbed at her eyes. "Thank you for being honest with me." I left our lunch feeling optimistic. Clearly, I had misunderstood Corinne's intentions. With more open communication, we could work through these bumps and bring peace to the family. Little did I know, this was only the beginning of Corinne's manipulations. By playing the victim and turning the blame back on me, she had succeeded in twisting my good intentions to suit her own agenda. But I would soon wise up to her schemes. Corinne had shown her true colors today. Now it was time for me to take action. Over the next few weeks, I continued trying to build a rapport with Corinne. I invited her shopping and cooked some of her favorite meals when they visited. But despite my efforts, Corinne remained cold and self-absorbed, and poor Ellis looked more drained every time I saw him. One evening, Ellis and Corinne came over for dinner again. As we sat down to eat, Corinne grimaced at her plate. "Ugh, salmon? You know I hate fish, Lorraine," she said. "Oh, I'm so sorry," I said. "I thought you liked salmon." Corinne rolled her eyes. "Maybe if you ever listened to me, you'd know I don't." I bit my tongue and served her extra asparagus instead. I had been trying so hard with her. Why did she have to make everything difficult? Throughout the meal, Corinne complained about one thing after another, the seasoning, the texture of the vegetables, even the way I had folded the napkins. With each criticism, I felt my smile grow tighter. Marshall gently squeezed my hand under the table, sensing my frustration. As I started clearing plates, Corinne wrinkled her nose at the vanilla cake I had baked for dessert. "Ugh, I can't eat all those carbs. I'm watching my figure," I snapped. "Well, excuse me if we don't live up to your gourmet standards here," I said sharply. "If you don't like it, you're welcome to go home." Corinne's mouth dropped open in shock. The table fell silent. Mom, come on, Ellis said uneasily. No, Ellis, enough is enough. Marshall slammed his hand on the table, making us all jump. We have bent over backwards to welcome Corinne into this family, but no matter what your mother does, this woman is completely ungrateful. Corinne smirked. Please, you can drop the sweet act, Lorraine. I know you've never liked me. And with good reason, Marshall retorted. All you've done is look down on us since the day we met you. We're sick of it. Ellis stood hurriedly. Look, why don't we all just take a deep breath? Stay out of this, Ellis, Marshall growled. This needs to be said. He turned back to Corinne. You are a vain, entitled bully, and you've treated my son horribly from day one of this marriage. Corinne crossed her arms. How dare you? If you don't want me here, just say so instead of making cutting remarks all night. Her eyes brimmed with crocodile tears. I finally exploded. That's it! I want you out of my house now! I shouted. Corinne's mouth dropped open. She looked rapidly between me and Marshall, seeming unsure whether we were serious. Marshall stood firmly, eyes blazing. You heard her. Get out. For a moment, the room was silent, except for the ticking of the clock. Then Corinne stood up hurriedly, grabbing her purse. Fine, I know when I'm not wanted, she sniffed. Come on, Ellis, we're leaving. Ellis hesitated, torn between his parents and his wife. Finally, he followed Corinne silently out to the car. Marshall let out a long breath as the door slammed shut. Well, that's been a long time coming. It certainly has, I agreed. I had finally reached my breaking point with Corinne's nastiness. Things were coming to a head at last, and though it pained me to see Ellis caught in the middle, enough was enough. For his own good, we needed to force the issue with Corinne. One way or another, things were about to change in this family. I could feel it. The next day, the doorbell rang around noon. I opened it to find Corinne standing there alone, dressed impeccably as always. We need to talk, she announced, pushing past me into the living room. I crossed my arms. I have nothing to say to you. Corinne sighed loudly. Don't be so dramatic. I know things got a little heated last night, but we're family now. We can get past this. I stared at her in disbelief. Are you serious? You've been nothing but rude and entitled since the moment we met you. We're tired of tolerating your nastiness. Corinne rolled her eyes. Please, I was just joking around. You and Marshall completely overreacted. It wasn't just last night. I retorted. The way you treat Ellis is unacceptable. You walk all over him. Corinne scowled, her friendly pretense gone. Ellis is my husband. How I treat him is none of your business. Just then, Marshall came into the room. What are you doing here? He demanded. Corinne turned to him. I came to smooth things over, but clearly you both still have an attitude. Marshall shook his head in disgust. The only thing getting smoothed over today is you out the front door. He took Corinne firmly by the arm, leading her toward the entryway. She shook him off angrily. Don't touch me, Corinne snapped. You have no right to treat me this way. Enough, I said sharply. It's time you listen for once. We've tried to welcome you into our family, but you've been ungrateful and cruel. We won't stand by and let you mistreat our son anymore. Corinne's eyes flashed dangerously. Who do you think you are? You can't control my marriage. But we can control who we allow into our home and lives, Marshall said coldly. And as of today, you are no longer welcome here. Corinne looked back and forth between us, realization dawning on her face. You can't be serious, she said uncertainly. We are, I said. Either you start treating this family with some decency, or you will no longer be a part of it. For a moment, Corinne just stared at us, stunned. Then her expression hardened. You'll regret this, she hissed. She whirled around and stomped out to her car. As she peeled out of the driveway, Marshall gently put his arm around me. Do you think we did the right thing? I asked softly. He squeezed my shoulder. Absolutely. She needed that wake-up call. Now we just have to hope it sinks in. I sighed. I just pray this doesn't drive a wedge between us and Ellis. He'll come around, Marshall reassured me. We're his family. He knows we only want the best for him. I hoped Marshall was right. Either way, the line had been drawn. We would no longer enable Corinne's toxic behavior. Time would tell if she chose to shape up or ship out of this family for good. The next day I was in the kitchen baking cookies when the front door flew open. Mom! Dad! Ellis shouted angrily. How could you kick Corinne out like that? I wiped my hands and went to meet him in the living room. Marshall put down his newspaper and stood. "Son, we were just trying to stand up for you," he said evenly. "That woman has been nothing but unkind since you married her." Ellis raked his hands through his hair in frustration. "You don't understand. She's not a bad person. She just has a lot of pressure on her right now." I shook my head. "Excuses don't justify cruelty. We've tried to welcome her into this family, but it's never enough." "You just don't know her like I do," Ellis insisted. "If you could see the sweet, caring side of her—" "Ellis, listen to yourself," Marshall said. "You're so manipulated by her lies you can't see the truth." Ellis flushed red with anger. "Don't you dare talk about my wife that way." "Son, we only want what's best for you," I said gently. I handed him a stack of papers. "That's why we need to show you something. Just look through these, please." Ellis reluctantly took the papers and began scanning through bank statements, invoices, credit card bills. His shoulders tensed as he read. Where did you get these?" he stammered. "We have our sources," Marshall said cryptically. Ellis looked up at us, his eyes full of pain. "I don't understand. We were supposed to be saving for a house." My heart broke for my son. I took his hands in mine. "Sweetheart, Corinne has been hiding the truth from you. She's been spending outrageous amounts each month on herself." "No, she wouldn't," Ellis mumbled, but I could see the doubt creeping into his face. "We know this is hard to hear," Marshall said gently, "but it's time you see Corinne for who she really is." Ellis sat in stunned silence for a few minutes. Finally, he looked up at us, his expression hardening with resolve. "You're right. It's time I faced the truth." I had never felt so relieved. We were finally getting through to him. "We'll support you no matter what," I said softly, "but she can't keep getting away with this." Ellis nodded, his jaw set. "Don't worry. I know what needs to be done now." Marshall and I exchanged a satisfied look as Ellis walked out the door with purpose. Finally, our son understood the situation. With the wool pulled from his eyes at last, actions could now be taken. I just prayed Corinne would accept the consequences that were coming her way with dignity. But based on her past behavior, that seemed unlikely. Either way, justice was on the horizon. The truth had been unveiled, and our family was united again. Over the next few days, I didn't hear from Ellis. I could only imagine the emotional turmoil he was in, confronting the truth about Corinne's lies and manipulation. Late one evening, my phone finally rang. It was Ellis, sounding weary but resolute. "It's over, Mom. I told Corinne I want a divorce," he said quietly. My heart swelled with pride. I knew how difficult this must have been for him. "You're doing the right thing, sweetheart. How did she take it?" Ellis sighed. "As expected. Lots of tears, pleas for another chance. But I stood firm. I know this toxic relationship needs to end." "Good for you," I said firmly. "Your father and I are so proud. Let us know if you need anything during this transition." Over the next few weeks, life rapidly changed. Corinne fought the divorce bitterly, trying to squeeze as much as possible from Ellis in the settlement. "That conniving woman," I fumed to Marshall. "Hasn't she taken enough already?" But Ellis held strong, refusing to be manipulated any longer. In the end, Corinne ended up with a modest settlement, nothing compared to the lavish lifestyle she was accustomed to. When the divorce was finalized, Ellis arrived at our doorstep with boxes of his belongings, looking lighter than I had seen him in years. I hugged him tightly. "Welcome home, sweetheart." Marshall clapped him on the back. "Proud of you, son. You're well rid of that leech." Ellis gave a small smile. "It hasn't been easy, but I know this is for the best." As Ellis settled back into his childhood room, we finally had our sweet son back. He and Marshall spent evenings chatting in the living room, laughing over memories from Ellis's childhood. Meanwhile, karma had come for Corinne. With limited alimony and half their debts, she was forced to downsize significantly. "Did you hear?" Marshall said to me one morning. "Corinne had to sell that fancy car of hers just to make ends meet last month." I shook my head. "Seems poetic justice has been served." The greatest reward was seeing Ellis flourish as the months passed. The light returned to his eyes. He regained the strength and confidence that Corinne had steadily drained from him. 6 months later, he was ready to start dating again. We were thrilled when he met a kind, down-to-earth woman at work. It gave me hope that true partnership was still possible for him. Ellis deserved every happiness after the nightmare he endured. Though the wounds still lingered, Marshall and I were proud to see our son healing and embracing life once more. Over a year had passed since Ellis left Corinne, and he continued to thrive. He was excelling in his career again and had found companionship with a new girlfriend, Amy. Marshall and I adored her kind and easygoing nature, the perfect complement to Ellis. One Saturday, Marshall manned the grill while Ellis and I set the patio table. Amy arrived bearing a blueberry pie for dessert. "Oh, how lovely. Let me take that to the kitchen," I said warmly. As we ate amid laughter and sunshine, my heart swelled with gratitude. The turmoil of last year had passed. Our family was whole again, bonded more closely through the adversity we had weathered together. Later, as Marshall and Ellis tossed a football in the yard, Amy and I sipped lemonade on the porch swing. "I can't thank you enough for welcoming me so openly," she said. "With all Ellis went through, I worried you'd be wary." I shook my head. "The past is behind us now, and we can see clear as day what a positive impact you've had on Ellis. We're so thankful he found you." Amy smiled shyly. "Well, I'm the lucky one. Ellis is an amazing man, so resilient. You raised him well." "He learned it from his father," I said, watching Marshall clap Ellis proudly on the back. "But the real credit goes to Ellis. Rebuilding your life after so much toxicity takes incredible courage." That evening, after Amy left, our family lingered on the porch watching the sunset. Ellis turned to us after a peaceful silence. "Thank you both for everything this past year," he said. "I don't know if I could have gotten through it without your love and support." Marshall hugged him gruffly. "You've always had our support, son. I'm just glad you're finally rid of that evil woman." I squeezed Ellis's hand. "We'll always be right here for you. I'm so proud of the man you've become." He hugged us tightly. In that moment, with fireflies twinkling around us, our family felt whole and at peace again. The worst was behind us. A few months later, the doorbell rang unexpectedly one Saturday afternoon. I opened it to find Corinne standing on the porch, dressed in a simple pantsuit. She looked much older, her blonde hair faded, makeup-free face weary. "Oh, hello, Lorraine," she said awkwardly. "I was hoping I might see Ellis." I stiffened slightly. "I don't think that's a good idea. Ellis is in a good place now. He doesn't need you disrupting his life again." Corinne looked down. "Of course, you're right. I just wanted to apologize for how things ended. I've been going through a lot of counseling this past year, trying to better myself, but I understand." She turned to leave. Seeing this formerly vibrant woman so subdued now, a flicker of pity stirred in me. Perhaps even Corinne was capable of change. "Wait," I said. She turned back, surprised. "Would you like some tea?" A ghost of Corinne's old smile flashed across her face. "I'd like that. Thank you." As we sat talking quietly, I felt a sense of hope. For all of us, life goes on. Roads diverge, but new paths emerge if you have the courage to seek them. With resilience and compassion, even the most broken bonds can be rebuilt, stronger than before.